get the opportunity to introduce to you my most beloved daughter in love, who I loved way before she was even dating Scott. And I met her, and those of you know, I tell you this, but she sealed the deal when I met her the first time, and she said, "Can I be the president of your fan club?"
It's a true story.
True story. She was rounding them up right then. You're vice president, okay, and you're this, and you're that, and yes.
Does she still hold that office?
Are you still, yeah, well, probably. Are you still president of my fan club?
I think you're president of mine now.
Oh, it is the truth. But I promise you, she is an absolute blessing. But she's a blessing to this house. Let's thank God for Mandy. And I'm sure she's going to talk about this, but you can go ahead and stand up. You can, because I'm president of your fan club. I can tell you when you can come forward. There we go. You know what you just did. You just gave me permission.
No.
Yeah.
I recant my offer.
No, you did it in the all the witnesses. Yeah, it's a whole company.
They were just having a prophetic vision. It wasn't real.
Okay, well, no. Anyway, I got to pay attention now, don't I? Hallelujah. Anyway, Mandy, I got an opportunity to go with her recently in May, and we ended up in Colorado, and we were actually at a conference with Sherry, and there's something I love about Mandy, and this is really what happened in 2020 when everything shut down in a moment, literally in a moment. And she is owner of Royal Valet, which does all valet parking for casinos and event centers and restaurants. And when everything shuts down, as some of us have experienced the everything in a moment. And so I watched her walk through this. But here's what I love, is in that moment, she got over the moment of shock. And then after she got over the moment of shock, she said, "I'm going to take a walk with you, God. And I'm not letting go until I hear from you." And I watched her do that. And I watched her in that moment come out and said, "Well, here's the plan." And there was a phone call that came in that, that confirmed that. Let's make COVID pay for what he just took. So the opportunity happened that she provided staff for all of the COVID testing centers, places, venues. What do you call them? They were directing the traffic through, and they needed to be happy, but they were masked. Okay, but anyway, they had to be really happy and welcome them. But everything shifted, and she turned it, instead of staying in a moment as, "Oh, woe, it's me." Yes, it was hard. Yes, it was difficult. But things shift and things change, and now we're in 22, and she was at another one of those moments where she looks at me and says, "I'm gone." So welcome with me, Mandy. And Father, we give you glory and honor for Mandy. We thank you for her. We thank you for her tenacity in you. We thank you, Lord, that you've given her, as the scripture of her life, having done all stand. And Lord, now we opened up with that. And Lord, and you spoke it even last week, that this is a moment that we're standing. And Father, I thank you that as she stands, now she releases. And Lord, it's not just to release, but Lord, it is heaven speaking to a generation this day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Hi, friends. Oh, hi, friends. All right. There is a lot of things that I could say, but we're going to start with this. First, completely unrelated to what I'm teaching you today. Just as a parent of children who are about to go back to school, I found it obviously deeply personal that we began to pray over and declare righteousness into classrooms today. I have emotion on it. I'm a little emotional about back to school this year because Alana Hope is going to kindergarten. And that's the whole thing. Like, so August 18th, y'all, just pray that day. Just pray for her teachers, for her classmates, for anyone, because who knows what they're going to get. So, but it is the most unique season ever in education right now, in the world in general, but I'm going to say to education. So whether you have children, don't have children, know it at all, if you're connected to this house, you're connected to the authority we walk in. And I just challenge you, be sensitive when you're out and about. Every time you drive past the school, release righteousness into that school. If you have 5 minutes, drive up in that parking lot and release righteousness into that school. Release safety into that school. Release wisdom and discernment and peace into that school. When you walk by or drive by and you see kids out at recess, you release pure relationships over them. Cancel assignments of bullying and belittling. There's so much devaluation that happens in that age level. So I'm encouraging you both as a leader in this house and as a mom of kids about to go back to school. Don't take that lightly. Please join me. Release righteousness. And if you're not sure what school to pray over, Jinx East Elementary and Jinx East Intermediate would be really good choices, okay? All right. Apparently we're team teaching today. It's cool.
When we started going down the righteousness thing, I kept waiting for the moment to explain what I was seeing, and I sang most of it. But anyway, he was standing right here, and I have never seen a being stand at attention. And he was standing here, and I could see the armor, and I could see the enactments of the breastplate. And I could see him standing here, and he's just looking at me. And I'm like, in the spirit, I'm okay, come forth, all right. It was actually after the come forth piece that he's like, all right, you called me, I'm here. What do you want me to do? But he was standing there. And then it was, and this is the conversation's going on in my head. I'm not asking the right question, or I'm not saying the right thing. Like, what's this? And he looked at me and he said, you need to release me. Which is when I said, righteousness, you're released. And it was, then we were literally transported to the halls of the school. And we were walking down the halls of the school. And he was touching the walls. And he was touching the lockers. And he was weaving in and out of the children. And for whatever reason, there was a classroom that was highlighted. That he looked at me and he goes, and that's when that one classroom, go there. And we start going. And we go into the classroom. We start walking in between the students and by the students. And then he stands at the front of the classroom to speak. And I saw him open the textbook and set it on fire. Before all of that started, I was seeing Lazarus in the tomb. And his sisters, oh, Jesus, you're too late, you're too late, you're too late. He goes, they're just sleeping. They're just sleeping. He's just sleeping. Righteousness is dead. No, he's just been sleeping. And it was Jesus demonstrated the power of rising the spirit of Lazarus up. And he was basically saying, are you going to realize that you have that same power? Or are you going to continue to wait for me to do it? And I think that's the season we're in. You have the power to do it. Go do it. You have the power. You have the power. Quit asking Jesus to do it. He's already done it in you so that you have the power. But just add to what this righteousness thing is when I said the halls, my flesh mind went to the halls of Congress. And I'm like, and it was kind of like, nope, not those halls. I'm like, well, what halls is it? The halls of the schools. And just in case you wanted to know what the inner working of my head goes on when I'm up there like, okay, Lord, which direction? But he's walking, we sent him this morning. We sent him to the schools. We sent us to the schools. We took authority over those classrooms and over those hallways. And we say that the agenda that has been set forth is no more because the fire has been set to it. Amen. The fire of the Lord has been set to it. The fire of righteousness has been staked in the ground of the school system. And the fire of the righteousness of the Lord has been staked at the four corners of these school properties. And righteousness will go forth. Teachers will begin to speak, but only righteousness will come out. Principals and counselors will start to speak, but only righteousness will come out. Amen?
All right. So we're all going to take praying and declaring over schools very seriously this school year. Yes? Yes. Thank you. Okay. All right. Phase 2. Here we go. I'm used to people agreeing when I tell them what to do. So good luck. Good luck. All right. Okay. I'm really going to try and stay focused here. I like to create baselines. Like, we'll have a conversation. I'll be like, all right, baseline, you need to know this is what I think about this. Now let's build on it. So we're going to use 2 baselines for today, all right? The first one, I'm going to read to you Hebrews 12, verses 1 through 14. And I'm going to read it out of the Passion Translation because it's my favorite. As for us, we have all of these great witnesses who encircle us like clouds. So we must let go of every wound that has pierced us and the sin we so easily fall into. Then we will be able to run life's marathon race with passion and determination, for the path has been already marked out before us. We look away from the natural realm and we focus our attention and expectation onto Jesus, who birthed faith within us and who leads us forward into faith's perfection. His example is this: because his heart was focused on the joy of knowing that you would be his, he endured the agony of the cross and conquered its humiliation, and now sits exalted at the right hand of the throne of God. So consider carefully how Jesus faced such intense opposition from sinners who oppose their own souls, so that you won't become worn down and cave in under life's pressures. After all, you have not yet reached the point of sweating blood in your opposition to sin. And have you forgotten his encouraging words spoken to you as his children? He said, "My child, don't underestimate the value of the discipline and training of the Lord God, or get depressed when he has to correct you. For the Lord's training of your life is the evidence of his faithful love. And when he draws you to himself, it proves you are his delightful child. Fully embrace God's correction as part of your training, for he is doing what any loving father does for his children. For who has ever heard of a child who has never had to be corrected? We all should welcome God's discipline as the validation of authentic sonship. If we have never once endured his correction, it only proves we are strangers and not sons. And isn't it true that we respect our earthly fathers even though they corrected us and disciplined us? Then we should demonstrate an even greater respect for God, our spiritual Father, as we submit to his life-giving discipline. Our parents corrected us for the short time of our childhood as it seemed good to them, but God corrects us through our lives for our own good, giving us an invitation to share his holiness. Now, all discipline seems to be painful at the time, yet later it will produce a transformation of character. I picked this passage before today, I just want you to know. Bringing a harvest of righteousness and peace to those who yield it. Well, let's just read that verse again. Now, all discipline seems to be painful at the time, yet later it will produce a transformation of character, bringing a harvest of righteousness and peace to those who yield to it. So be made strong even in your weakness by lifting up your tired hands in prayer and worship, and strengthen your weak knees, for as you keep walking forward on God's paths, all your stumbling ways will be divinely healed. In every relationship, be swift to choose peace over competition and run swiftly towards holiness, for those who are not holy will not see the Lord. So that's a baseline, all of that, okay? My other baseline, interestingly enough, came from my friend Steve Pogue last week. And he said the following, and I didn't get to be here with you all last week. We were in the cornfields of Illinois, finding some rest there and adventure. But Steve started to speak about standing, and my life word is to stand. So if you want to talk about standing, I can get all excited about that. So I listened to what he said last week a few times, and I pulled this out of it, and this is our other baseline for today. Too often we ask the Lord to deliver us from the very thing that we signed up for because we wanted the end result, but we didn't want to walk out the steps that would take us to the place that would release the power and the destiny that God has for us as we stand in that place. What are you doing? Don't get sidetracked in the moment you are in when you are so close to the end result. Keep your eyes on the prize and don't get lost in the middle ground. So with those as our baselines, we're going to talk about a little walk up the mountain. As I was pondering this, so as Maribeth said, back at the end of May, Sherry is part of a ministry called, I forget it right, is it Women In or Women Of? Women of the Kingdom, and it's based in Colorado Springs. And they put on some conferences, and Sherry's invited us to go in the past. And this particular time when she sent us the information, I was like, I think we should go. And I was also intrigued because girls could come and needed some special time with Lydia. So Lydia and Mary Beth and I set off to Colorado Springs to join Sherry for this conference at the Glen Erie Castle in Colorado Springs. So Ricky, you can put up my first picture. So here's a picture of us in Colorado Springs. My beautiful Lydia there in the front. Yes, well, that's part of the thing. Shh. Okay. So I'm going to pause here. And because I honestly thought I would teach on this sooner, but the summer, stick around for the family meeting, because the summer is not gone like we originally planned it would, and a lot happened. So I originally thought I'd be teaching this in June. So when I pulled everything back out to prepare for teaching you today, I just began to ponder, because we're really going to look at my walk up the mountain as a journey. And I began to ponder for each of us, and just the people and your stories and the things that are happening. I know that we're all in a journey collectively. We're all in a journey to bring kingdom come, thy will be done, right? That's like our commitment. So I'm on that journey with all of you. But it seems, from what I know and my perspective, that, every single person that my eyes are falling on right now, I know that there's some really unique, special, intense journey that you personally, or you as a couple, have been called to lately. And it's things like maybe new jobs or moving or changes in relationships or commitments to go on a whole new career path. Like it's a lot of different things. So I also think it's interesting that I'm teaching this in the month of Av, and I'm pretty sure today is actually the 9th of Av. So I think that's interesting too. Because Av, if you don't follow the Hebrew months, Av is a month that's characteristically known by going through a tight place, okay? And being faced with the decision of, do I continue or do I stop, okay? But we also know that if we make it all the way through the month of Av, the next month is Elul, and Elul is marked by the king is in the field. Come out and meet him. So as I'm talking about my journey up the mountain today, I want you to think of two things in your life. I want you to compare it to the journey that you're on. We can talk about our corporate journey, but I also really want you to consider those individual journeys that the Lord is speaking to you about. And I know that for most of us, we're not talking about a quick walk in the park kind of journey. We're talking about long haul, life-changing, life-altering, destiny-altering journeys. Someone shake your head so I know that I've got you. Okay. Thank you, Mary Frances. So here we go. So we go to Colorado Springs, and I'm all excited, okay? You ever in that place where you're like, I just really need a moment with the Lord? Like, I need that, like, face-to-face, fall on the ground, cry my eyes out, totally change, get up, refreshed, ready to go. I need this moment. Y'all, okay. So I go, and I'm like, I'm going to have that moment. This is going to be glorious. Only 3 people there are going to know me. I'm not going to have expectation on me to figure anything out in the room. No one's going to come to me if the toilet's clogged. No one's going to come to me because we ran out of snacks. No one's going to come to me for anything. Like, literally, I just get to show up, keep Lydia alive, keep Mary Beth from getting lost, and support Sherry. Right? So we go, and Sherry knows this. This is just part of it for me. We get there, and the first session starts. I'm like, this is going to be amazing. And we get through the first session. I'm like, why am I here? This is not what I was expecting. Okay. And it was glorious. It was lovely. That night was about intimacy with the King, okay? It's beautiful. All these women are on the floor crying, Jesus. And I'm like, get up and do something. Now, there's nothing wrong with intimacy with the King, okay? But I am not one to sit around for very long, okay? I like to get up and do. So I was looking at all these women. I'm like, this is beautiful for them. But I'm like, okay, that's great. And we get back to our room. We're sitting in this beautiful room. And I'm like, man, why am I here? She's like, well, just do it tomorrow, Holes. I'm like, and anyways. So the next morning, we eat breakfast, and we go back up to the room for our conference. Beautiful place, Glen Erie Castle in Colorado Springs, just beautiful. And session two, the speaker was really good, great message on holiness, and I'm still sitting there going, yeah, okay, like that's great, but like what are we gonna do? Like I was still looking for my moment, my expectation, right? So then that afternoon, after lunch, they gave us a time to rest. And they said, rest, enjoy the grounds, whatever. And I was like, I am going to go on a hike. I love to hike. I love to be outdoors. So I'm going to go on a hike. So this is my story of this hike. And I will tell you that that hike is 100% what I was there for. Actually, because I was also there for Sherry's message because it turned my life upside down. But that's for another day. That's not today's message. So in the conference, again, it was wonderful. Lives were changed. All the good things happened. But what I was expecting my box to look like is not what my box looked like. Okay? So I start off on this journey. What? Yes. And those that are close to me know that I like a good plan. And it's hard for me when it's messed up. So, anyways. So, within about 5 minutes of my walk, the beginning of this journey, the Lord began to show me thing after thing after thing after thing. And I had actually brought a little notebook with me, and I would stop and I'd write stuff down and I'd talk into my phone. So I'm going to share with you the points that the Lord pointed out to me that we're going to apply to our own journeys individually, corporately, and as we journey through the month of Av. Okay? So the first thing I want to tell you, I'm actually adding another baseline. I honestly believe that comparison is one of our biggest enemies right now and things that are holding us back. So I also need you to keep this in mind for our conversation today. Please stop missing your own journey because you're waiting to be invited to go on mine. Okay? It drives me crazy when I find out that someone is sitting over here waiting. Well, I wasn't asked to be included in this, and I'm not going to ever get to do this thing because this is the one that drives me crazy. I don't pray like Mary Beth. I don't pray like Betty Bond. I don't worship like Scott, so I can't do anything. Shut up. Stop comparing yourself and your journey to mine, to Scott's, to Mary Beth's, to Steve's, to Rachel's, to Sherry's, to Mary Frances's. Stop it, because it's going to keep you from going on your journey. Okay? Also, our journeys are not all going to look the same, okay? They're all going to end in the same place. Someday I'm going to celebrate eternity with every single one of you, but they're not all going to end in the same. They're not all going to look the same, okay? I'm going to give you a funny, practical example of this. So we were in Illinois, and then we went to St. Louis. I wanted to show my children some things in St. Louis. I'm from Central Illinois. We spent a lot of time in St. Louis as a kid. So Scott just loved when we took him up in the arch. That was his favorite part. But anyways, so there is this place. Scott chose to use the time when we went to do this to go rest and read and have a great time. But my mom, who's amazing, some of you met my mom, she's 60 and kept up with us through this place I'm about to tell you about. It's called City Museum. Anybody familiar with City Museum in St. Louis? Oh my gosh. I have known about this place for 20 years and just went last week. And it is an 11th-story old warehouse in downtown St. Louis that they have turned into a thing. It's a kid's wonderland, adults' wonderland. There is tunnels and caves and slides. At one point, we were on a carousel on the 11th story. Not a carousel, a Ferris wheel. The one that I always get them. It's one that goes like this. A bus that's hanging off the 11th story. The front half is hanging off, and you can go play on the bus. You can climb up into these airplanes. It's incredible. So we get there, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to follow these kids. I'm going to keep up, and we're going, all right? We're going to crawl. We're going to climb. We're going to sweat. This is going to be great. So we take off, and I think Lydia was leading. So we're going, and I'm trying to help Judah get through it all, and they get to the slide, and I'm like, all right, we're going to go down the slide. All right, let's do it. So Lydia goes down, and Samuel goes down, Lana goes down, Judah goes down. I'm supposed to go down next. I'm like, okay, we're going to go down the slide. You also need to know I'm very claustrophobic. So we start to go down the slide, and I'm like, this slide gets smaller. This slide turns into a tunnel. This slide gets much smaller. And I realize that if I keep going down this slide, I'm going to get stuck in a fully enclosed dark tunnel. And everything starts racing through my head. I'm like, they're going to have to call the fire department. I'm going to be stuck here like 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to suffocate. I'm going to die. They're going to have to call Scott. This is going to be terrible. All in like that flash of a second. And I was like, oh, but there was something above me, and I was able to reach up, and I pulled myself back up this slide and got out of it, okay? And then my mom went right down it, and I just was like, ah! If you're watching, Mom, you're amazing. So, but here's my point in telling you that. We all ended up to the same place. I found a different path that I could get through, that I was equipped for, and found my children, and we continued onward, okay? Your path, your journey, my path, my journey, do not look the same, but we're going to end up in the same place. Recognize this path, man, this one's going to kill me. This path is the one I'm equipped for. I'll see you on the other side. Okay? All right. So my first point on this, I was drawn on this journey up the mountain. Like I had to go. There was other things I could have done. And I was like, I absolutely must go on this. Kind of wanted to take a nap, but I was like, I have to go walk up this mountain. And so I did. I also think it's interesting that I truly almost didn't take this journey because I didn't want to mess up my hair, all right? I'd gotten cute that morning. Hadn't embraced these curls yet. I've discovered this summer also I have natural curly hair. It's amazing. Still learning how to tame it, but love all the people that are consulting me on it. It's great. So I was like, if I go, I'm going to sweat. I'm going to mess up my hair. I'm going to have to shower. I'm going to have to get ready again before the evening session. That evening session, we were all getting married to Jesus. So we were supposed to be cute. And I'm like, if I go on this hike, hey, I'm just being real, Steve Pogue. You participate or leave. It's all right. So I straight up almost didn't go. But here's my question for you in that. What little things are keeping you from the journey in front of you? What is it that you're worrying about? What is it that you're holding on to? What is it that you're letting keep you back from whatever it is that's in front of you for you to go and do and embrace? Okay? We can laugh about my hair, but we all know there's those things in us that are keeping us from going to the next thing. I also kept asking people to go with me, all right? You can laugh again. I was like, Mary Beth, you want to go hike up the mountain? She's like, no. I think I'm going to read. I think I'm going to nap. And I asked Lydia, I'm like, Lydia, you want to go on this hike with me? And she's like, no, excuse me, Mom. And I'm like, well, okay. And I think I even asked Sherry, I'm like, Sherry, you free this afternoon? You want to go on this hike with me? And she had responsibilities with the conference. So I had to go on my journey by myself. Not everyone will be able to join you on your journey you're being called to. It doesn't mean you sever ties. I didn't, abandon my mother-in-law, and Lydia's still my daughter when I got off my journey, right? Doesn't mean that we're severing ties. But it does mean we need to use great discernment in who is to be part of each of our journeys. It also doesn't mean we enter isolation. I didn't get up there on the mountain and sit down and throw a pity party because nobody joined me. What I did realize, 5 minutes into the journey, bless her heart, Mary Beth would not have been able to make it. I was climbing some steep things. I was in some places that would not have been safe for her to go to. And Lydia, bless her heart, she didn't like a lot of stuff like that. So 5 minutes in, she'd be like, I'm tired, my feet hurt, I'm done, can we go back? Do you have a snack? Okay? All right. But who are you waiting on to come on your journey who's just going to slow you down because they want to have a snack? Right? But that does not mean we enter isolation. I'm not talking about severing camp. I'm just saying recognize, I think we're in a place right now where a lot of us are embracing different journeys. We're still family, but we got to do what we're being told to do. Oh, so the next picture, I think, is a picture of my mountain. So that's what I climbed, part of it. Okay, just so you can kind of see where I was at. It's beautiful, guys. But here's something else. I told a few people where I was going and what I was doing, okay? Hey, I'm about to set off on this thing. I really feel like the Lord has told me to go do it. I'm going to tell a couple people, maybe a lot. You have to trust the Lord. Who do I need to tell about this? So that you know this is where I'm at, this is what I'm doing. I gave Mary Beth a map. I showed her the trails I was going to be on. And I told her, if you don't see me again in an hour, call the park ranger, all right? So I let people know around me, hey, this is what I'm doing. Now, I didn't put out a Facebook bulletin and tell everybody in the world because it wasn't for everyone to know. But I needed the people that were close to me, that were really responsible for me that day, to know, hey, just need you to know, this is my journey today. And if I don't come back, I need you to help me out. All right? And then I ended up having better signal than I thought I would. So a couple times throughout my journey, I texted her and just said, hey, want you to know I'm doing good. I'm safe. Okay? My preparation, next point, my preparation for this journey took time. If you don't know my journey, a couple of years ago, I had to make a commitment to my health and to myself, and I lost a significant amount of weight, and I now work out and weight train and do a bunch of things to keep my body healthy and strong, right? Had I tried to set out on this journey before it was time, had I tried to set out on it 2 years ago with no preparation, y'all, I would not have made it 2 feet. In my training already, 5 minutes into this, I had to stop. I've never been to Colorado. I had to stop. I had to breathe. My heart rate was like 180 because I'm not used to those altitudes. So I had to adjust my pace. But had I tried to do this 2 years ago, I wouldn't have made it. Know the season and time for the journey you're supposed to take, and also know what preparation needs to happen. Don't be like, I'm supposed to be a medical doctor. I'm just going to show up to the hospital with a scalpel and tell them I'm ready, right? There is preparation for the journey that you are supposed to be on. Embrace your preparation. Anyways, I kind of already alluded to this, but I really thought, I'm like, I work out every day. I'm strong. And I started clipping up that mountain. We're going. And like 5 minutes, I was dying. So I had to stop. I had to process where I was at, what I needed to adjust, change my trajectory and my plan a little bit, shift a little bit before I could continue my journey. Recognize those moments where you need to stop and be like, all right, wait, still on this journey, but what do I need to do to continue being successful on this path that I'm walking down? When I got to the top, oh, I like this picture. So the little blue box right there, I put around the Glen Erie Castle. So that is where the conference was at. And I took this picture from up in the mountain and in the rocks. So when I was up there, everything looked different. My perspective was different, and I could see things differently. Doesn't mean I still understood everything, but everything started to shift a little bit. Okay? The obstacles were also different at each level of my journey. Things started getting steeper. Terrain started changing. I went from a more beaten trail to one that was a little rougher, and I had to slow down and I had to adjust. I had to watch out for bears. I told my best friend I was going to Colorado. She's like, please don't get eaten by a bear. So I read what to do if you encounter a bear on a trail. I was prepared for that. It's very grateful I did not. I also thought it was interesting during the same time, and actually when I took this picture, they were also doing a time of worship outside while during that rest time. And this was a group that loved shofars and tambourines and dancing. So when I was up on the mountain, I could hear shofars and tambourines. And that was really cool. So I wrote that down because for some people, their journey that day was to worship. My journey was up the mountain. Again, that's just a recognition of we all ended up in the same place that night, but we had different journeys that day. I had to stay the path. There were so many options I could have chosen, but I had to stay the course. I could see beauty in other directions, but knew that for this journey, I had to stay the course. There were some areas that I was like, oh, I bet it's really beautiful over there, but I'm going to have to climb up that rock, or that path looks really narrow, or that's really close to an overhang. And curiosity, I was actually pretty impressed with my curiosity that day because I also don't really like heights. Wanted to draw me over there, but I stayed the path because if I would have gone off the course that was set before me, I would have left protection and opened myself up to danger. I would have been outside the grace for my journey. Recognize what it is you're supposed to be doing. And you may see some over here like, oh, Mary Frances, your journey looks cool. I'm going to come join yours for a minute. Man, I don't have grace for her journey. I don't. Stick around for family meeting, hear about her journey. But I don't have grace for that, and I'd get myself in a lot of trouble. Anyways, so I recognized the path that was mine, and I stayed the course so that I wouldn't come out of protection and safety, right? We teach our kids that. When you come out of, and it's a teaching Rick and Mary Beth used to teach their kids, when you come out of the protection we've given you, like a rule, like don't run out in the street, right? When they choose to come out from that, when they choose to come out from that protection and that rule, that umbrella of protection, they're no longer protected by us, and a car might hit them and squish them like a bat, right? That'd be terrible. Don't do that. But it's this idea that when you are under that umbrella of protection, you are safe. And I knew on this journey, I had to stay under that umbrella of protection. And that umbrella was people who had gone before me and marked a trail. And I did not need to get off of that trail. One time on my journey, I fell pretty hard. Like I fell. And I got really discouraged and really angry. How did I let that happen? Why did I fall down? I know better. I knew I needed to check my footing. I knew I needed to be safe. And that was a moment where I was like, this is stupid. I'm going back down. I'm going to go take a nap. But I sat down on a big rock and I evaluated the situation, made sure that I was actually really okay to continue. I learned from that to check my footing better and kept going. I did not let my stumble keep me from completing my journey. My team teacher over here is awesome. He's no, sure don't. Even though we've been on a trip together, I've barely seen my husband, and it's so fun to have him sitting here in his cute little Hawaiian shirt on the front row. I told Samuel during worship I'm going to get Rick, Scott, and Samuel all matching Hawaiian shirts and put them on them. That's going to be purely for my entertainment. So here's the deal. Guys, you can look at Scott and I's journey and be like, again, that place of comparison of, they're doing so well. They've got all this business and da-da-da-da-da-da. Great, wonderful. Do you have any idea how many times we have fallen down? It happens. There are moments where you are tired. There's moments where the unexpected happens. There's moments where you straight up just don't want to keep going. But you get up, shake off the dust, evaluate and repair your injuries, and you keep going. All right. Watching the time. I'm going to keep going. I also documented my journey. I kept writing things down because I also knew that others would benefit from learning from my journey. Document what you're doing. Journal it. Keep notes. If you're Facebook friends with Scott, he's doing a really amazing job right now of releasing these Facebook posts every night that just takes something that he learned from the day and is an encouragement to keep moving forward. So what from your journey can you use either in a small group setting or a large group setting to encourage other people? Because I also promise you at the end of the day, none of these journeys are just about us. I also will tell you that during my hike, I don't want to call it fear, but there was a keen awareness of the unknown. I actually teach, if you haven't caught on yet, I own a valet parking company. We park a bunch of people's cars. It's actually quite comical when I summarize it. I hire almost strangers to park perfect strangers' vehicles, and I get paid for it, and I pay other people for it. It's very interesting business that I run. So when we train our team, one of the things we train them is you must walk in a slight bit of anxiety every day when you do this job. Because it's the person that's like, I got it. There's nothing wrong here. Do you know what they do? They go scratch a car. They run it into a concrete column, and they create lots of wonderful situations for me to deal with. So we actually teach our team, we don't call it fear. We say there should just be a slight bit of awareness of what you're doing, because when you lose that, you will scratch a car. All right? Do what? If you have too much anxiety, you also do the same thing. This is cracking me up, guys. We can laugh because it's real and it's okay. On my journey, I did. You're right. I had just enough awareness to keep me safe. Okay? If I would have lost that, I would have fallen over the edge. But I also couldn't walk in too much. I don't like to use fear or anxiety. Couldn't walk in too much awareness, because then I would have never gone. Okay? During my journey, I mentioned about Mary Beth. I shared updates with those who would appreciate it. My sister-in-law, Rebecca, lives in North Carolina. She does all sorts of hiking and journeying and all sorts of things. And I was sending her pictures. I shared my journey with the people that would support it and celebrate it. I did not share my journey with people who'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever. Right? There are people in my life who, when I say we're doing this kingdom thing, that they're like, yeah, okay, whatever, all right? And then there are people like you all who I can be like, we're doing this kingdom thing, and you're like, yeah, all right? I did not send pictures of me hiking to people who could not celebrate what I was doing. I only sent updates to my mother-in-law and to Rebecca, because if Rebecca would have been there, she would have gone on that journey with me. Know who you're sharing with. I have to come back and get my phone, dang it. I did not understand why it was so important for me to go on that journey. I did not understand why it was like, I must walk up this mountain. I did not understand it at all, but I knew I had to, right? And understanding has been a big word for me. I've touched on it before. I'll say it very briefly. There was a place of freedom that was brought into my life when Bill Johnson made a statement of, I will not sacrifice the goodness of God on the altar of human understanding. And it really set me free from a pretty challenging place in my life. And I've come to this new way that I approach understanding, and it's brought me a lot of freedom as well. In 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 12 and 13, for now we see but a faint reflection of riddles and mysteries as though reflected in a mirror, but one day we will see face to face. My understanding is incomplete now, but one day I will understand everything, just as everything about me has been fully understood. I may be wrong in my theology in this, but I have this belief. I've come to this place where I so don't understand all the journeys that I'm on. I tell him all the time, I'm like, I do not understand why God raised me up in a cornfield in rural Illinois, brought me to ORU to get a degree to go I have a degree in biology pre-med. I was going to go be a doctor. I was going to go wave a scalpel in a hospital. All right. I don't understand most of my journeys. I don't understand why we're in business. I don't understand why business is such a drive for us. I don't understand it. I don't understand why we're in ministry, like in leadership in ministry. There's a lot of things that I'm like, this is not really the journey I thought my life would take. It's not a bad one. I love my life, but it's not a journey I understood. But I've come to this place where I've decided that there is going to be a moment if I just keep showing up. And my buzz phrase this year is I'm just here for it. I know that I'm supposed to be here for it. So I don't have to find understanding in it. I don't have to be like, this is the exact roadmap God has planned out for all of us and the way it's going to intersect. And da, 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 da. Even though I like a good plan, I don't have to fully understand this one, because there is going to be a moment where I will no longer see dimly as through a glass, but I will be seen face to face, and I will be fully known, and I will fully know. And I've come to believe, and again, this isn't theology, this is just what I've come to believe, that there is going to be a moment where I stand face to face with Jesus. And in that moment, I'm going to explode, because I'm going to understand. And I'm going to see how me showing up to park someone's car last week, or me sitting here and hanging out with you today, whatever those journeys are, why I had to go hike up a mountain in Colorado Springs, how it all came together for the fullness of kingdom. So guys, stop trying to understand your journey. There's no reason to. There's so much else we can be doing other than sitting around trying to understand. Just do it. Just show up for it. Just be there for it. And someday, I'm going to stand next to Mary Frances in eternity, and we're going to fully know. And we're just going to laugh and scream and giggle and cry, because we'll understand why it was so important for God to bring her from North Carolina and me from Illinois and all the things to come to a culmination of a moment. Okay. All right, I have a couple more. While I was on this journey, and I've lost track of my pictures, so whatever. There's some more pictures of mountains. It's cool. Yeah, you can click through them, Rick. They're good. I could see other paths to take in the future, but I knew they were not for today. There were other trails, other places I could go, but it's very important that we know timing. I was not prepared for some of those paths. I would have needed boots with spikes and, rappelling gear and all sorts of things that, I don't really, not that interested. But there was a place where pride and curiosity wanted to pull me onto some of those journeys. But I did not. I knew I had to stay the course. This one's not my favorite. When I went on my journey, I wore my knee brace. Okay? I don't like to make a big deal out of it. If you see me wear my knee brace, please don't ask me what's wrong with me. That's pride, but it's okay. Not really. I have a really messed up knee, okay? My knee is jacked. It's bad. So I'm really supposed to wear a knee brace all the time. I just hate wearing it. But on this hike, I knew I needed to wear my knee brace, because if not, my knee was going to give out and I really was going to fall down the side of the mountain. Here's the thing from that, though. There is a reality of old stuff. I have a bum knee, all right? It goes on the journey with me. It is so easy to say, I can't go because my knee hurts. But it's part of who I am now. So I can either just suck it up and put my knee brace on and go on my journey, or I can sit and throw a pity party about my bum knee and never do what I'm supposed to do. So I can talk about my knee hurts, but we could also talk about so-and-so hurt me. That relationship was bad. That church hurt me. That job didn't pan out like I want. I lost all that money over there. I tried once and I failed. What is your bum knee that you're not willing to just embrace what you need to do to take care of it and keep going, right? Okay, I'm just going to do two more. I wear an Apple Watch. Do I have any Apple Watch friends in here? I know I have a few. Oh, Anthony, we can't be friends. I'm sorry. So, oh my gosh. All right. So on my Apple Watch, I'm able to track my exercise, right? And Apple Watch users understand the concept of closing your rings, all right? So I'm really proud of these numbers that display on my watch. To me, my sister-in-law, Rebecca, and I have a whole competition about closing our rings every day. It's a whole thing, all right? So I set my watch to track this hike. So I had built an expectation that I was going to get all these numbers on my watch, all right? But the Apple Watch, if you stop moving, says, "Are you done with your exercise for today?" And I would be like stopped. And I mean, I was in this moment where I was just worshiping over this valley. Like, it was incredible. Okay. And my watch is like, "Are you done with your exercise for today?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're annoying me. Stop it." And it distracted me from my journey. And I was like, "It's okay. Shut up." And I kept going. Like 5 times into this, I was like, all right, I've got to drop my expectation for what this journey looks like. And I turned the settings off so that I could finish because it was distracting me. When we enter into these crazy journeys with the Lord, man, we got to drop our expectation. Now, there should be some expectation. There should be a holy expectation on the Lord to bring us through, right? But me going into an expectation, man, if we stuck with my expectation of what Royal Valley was going to turn into, dude, we would never be where we're at today. I was just doing a little side hustle. That was my expectation. And then my expectation was just to quit my job. And I could have stopped there. But I abandoned my expectation a long time ago. And I just keep showing up, and I keep taking the next step on that journey. Have a holy expectation on the Lord to guide us through. But don't let your expectation keep you from seeing your journey all the way through and getting distracted left and right. The last one I'm going to say, there were a few times on my journey I really did become fearful. Like, I am really high up, and I'm going to slip and fall. And there was a few places where I got tired, and there was a few places where my knee really hurt, and there was a few places I got really hungry. And I was like, I'm done. Forget this. So here's my question. What would have happened if I would have just sat down on that mountain and never finished the journey? I might have met Mr. Bear. But I really pondered it for a minute, standing up there. What would happen if I just sat down and didn't stand back up? I did sit down a few times. I rested, know when to rest. But I thought very practically, if I never came off that mountain, if I never finished that journey, I thought about my kids. They suddenly wouldn't have a mother. I thought about my husband. He would no longer have his life partner. I thought about my employees. They wouldn't have me leading them. I thought about you all. What would happen if I just sat down on my journey and didn't get back up? How many lives would have been affected? I can tell you from a very practical place, if I wouldn't have come off that mountain, there had been a lot of lives affected by my absence and me not completing a journey. Y'all, there are journeys before us that we do not understand. But if we do not embrace them and walk down them with a holy expectation on the Lord, what lives are going to be affected because you either never started, or you started and you let fear and pain and anger and discomfort stop you? What lives are going to be so affected by that choice? Just the thought. So here's the deal. I finished. I came back down the mountain. I also thought it was very interesting on that entire journey. I was gone for an hour. Felt like forever, but it really was amazing, guys. It was beautiful. In 1 hour, I saw one other person. And I kept thinking I'd bump into other people. Never did. Also of note, it's one of my points I skipped over. I honestly thought I was going to come off the trail at a certain point, but I missed one of the markers, and I ended up on a whole nother loop of the trail, which was fine. So there was a point where I was starting to get like, I don't know where I'm at. I don't even know if I'm still in the grounds of this place at this point, because I couldn't find my trail markers anymore. And right about then, when I was like, I'm getting a little nervous here, this lovely lady, who was also part of the conference, comes traipsing up the trail by herself. And I said, hey, am I close to like the end of this? And she goes, oh yeah, just a couple hundred more feet up, you'll be in the parking lot. And I thought that was really beautiful, that right there at the end, where I was really like, I have messed up, the Lord sent this beautiful girl just to say, hey, you're almost done. It's okay. Keep going. You're almost there. I saw her the next morning in the coffee shop, and I was like, I just want you to know, I really am grateful you were there because I was about to give up. Sweet little thing from, anyways. So my challenge to you today, we have laughed, we have joked, because we have to. There's just too much. But embrace your journey. Embrace the one that we're all on together. But embrace those things, those journeys the Lord has laid before you. The mountain journey, the Av journey. And don't quit, because I need you to finish. And Andrea needs you to finish, and Claire needs you to finish, and Judy needs you to finish, right? We have to finish.